Today, I want to talk about why we should be very skeptical about everything we hear in the media, on social media, and elsewhere. I'll start with a recent interview with the so-called Professor Jiang Xueqin. We live in a time when a global conflict is clearly underway, and the information space has become a key part of hybrid warfare. In this situation, the chance that we hear the pure truth is very small. What we usually get instead is just one side's convenient point of view, in other words, propaganda. Let me tell you in a few words who Jiang Xueqin is, how he became famous, and why his case is so revealing. Jiang Xueqin is a Chinese commentator who created the YouTube channel Predictive History, where he gives lessons on history, geopolitics, and what he calls predictive history. He went viral in May 2024 with a lesson in which he made three major predictions. Donald Trump would win the November 2024 elections, the United States would enter a war with Iran, the U.S. would lose this war, which would change the global order forever. The first two predictions came true. His videos exploded on the internet at the beginning and during the escalation of the war with Iran, especially in 2025-2026. People quickly started calling him China's Nostradamus. That's when I first heard about him, and I immediately thought there are two likely possibilities. Is he simply a very talented man with deep knowledge of history, politics, and geopolitics, plus exceptional analytical skills, who managed to perfectly predict a complex scenario? Or could he be part of a Chinese intelligence project, one of several visionaries prepared in advance with different predictions posted online? The one whose predictions came true would obviously go viral, and Jiang's version was the one that hit the target best, becoming hugely popular exactly when it was needed. Through him, Chinese propaganda could now reach Western audiences. When the interview with Mehdi Hasan came out, I started leaning more and more toward the second possibility. I now see Jiang Xueqin as a Chinese propaganda project aimed at Western audiences. In that interview, Mehdi Hasan caught Jiang saying several very questionable things. One of the most shocking was when Jiang said, "The problem with education is that it focuses too much on facts, too much on rigor, and not enough on imagination." Yes, a man who presents himself as a professor claims that facts are an obstacle to education. Mehdi also pressed him on another point. Jiang admitted that he is not actually a professor. He graduated in English literature from Yale and teaches at an international high school in China. The title professor is just a YouTube brand, a small lie that gave him an air of academic authority. But the most interesting part is not the lie about his title, it's the bigger context. For the elites in Beijing, such a scenario was not hard to predict at all. A war with Iran fits perfectly into the logic of great powers. What if it wasn't a real prediction, but a well-planned operation? Imagine that Chinese intelligence or related entities prepared several experts in advance with different scenarios. One of them goes viral, the others disappear in the noise. When Jiang's video explodes, the main message, the U.S. is losing the war, the empire is collapsing, spreads like a virus across the West. Chinese propaganda no longer needs to pay TV stations. The algorithms do the job for free. What does China gain from this? A lot. Actually, a great deal. First, the economic effect is huge. It scares investors. If people believe the U.S. is losing a major war, capital flees. American stock markets shake. The dollar weakens. Tech and defense companies lose confidence. Money flows toward Asia, toward China, or toward neutral countries that seem more stable. It's an elegant way to damage your opponent's economy without firing a single shot. Second, it undermines Western morale and unity. The message the U.S. can no longer win encourages defeatism in Europe and America. People tired of wars start demanding withdrawal. politicians become hesitant. Alliances, including NATO members, begin to distance themselves. An empire weakened from within is much easier to challenge. Third, it promotes the Chinese narrative of multipolarity. If America looks like it's in irreversible decline, China appears as the rational, stable, and wise alternative. Investors, governments, and even public opinion start turning toward Beijing. This is a huge strategic win. And finally, it creates global confusion and division. Ordinary people, bombarded with such analyses, end up not knowing what to believe anymore. This is exactly what any power engaged in information warfare wants, to erode trust in traditional sources and make the public easier to manipulate. In the interview, Jiang himself admitted that it is possible I am a useful idiot, and that many entities would want to amplify his message. He may even believe he is independent, but that doesn't change the reality. His message serves China's interests perfectly right now. That is why the golden rule should be skeptical about everything. Check your sources. Always ask yourself, who benefits from this message? Who wins if I believe it? What is the hidden angle? In geopolitics today, especially now when the US, China, Russia, Iran, and others are fighting a total hybrid war, the pure truth is rare. What we usually receive is, most of the time, a weapon, simple propaganda.